Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I came out here today with intentions of filming a walleye video. Sadly that didn't work out. Didn't even catch a single fish, had a really tough day. And yeah, I was just about to head back to the ramp, but I figured while I'm on the water, might as well take advantage of this and film a quick little boat walkthrough of the new boat that I just picked out, my new to me 1750 Fish Hawk. So let's get right into it. Alright guys, starting at the back of the boat, it is powered by a 2006 Mercury 115 4-stroke. Extremely happy with the motor. That's part of the main reason why I wanted this boat specifically, was the fact that it is a 4-stroke and it is also a 115. It is a big problem you see with these aluminum boats, is a lot of them are very underpowered, and that's not the case. I'm happy with what Crestliner did here. They put a big motor. It moves it extremely well. Can't believe how well this boat gets up on plane, and it can do about 45 miles an hour, which is fairly quick for an aluminum boat, so I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, moving on to some compartments here. There's one at the back here. Decent size. I was actually just keeping a box full of tackle warehouse stuff tucked away in there. You got one exactly the same on the other side, and that is your main battery, your starting battery. Okay, you have your live well here. Your live well is actually from there to there. It's all one piece. On this side here, you have a little cutout for a bait bucket, which I almost never use live bait, so that's kind of useless. But and then open this side, and it's like your traditional live well, but the thing is very big, so I'm happy with that. You also have a spot for a pedestal in the middle for another seat if you wanted it. Yeah, and then moving on, we've got a compartment here. I've just got all kinds of stuff in there. Case for fish finder, keys, wallet, life jackets. But this compartment actually goes all the way up until that tapers right there. So another huge compartment that you can tuck away a lot of stuff in there. Coming over onto this side, got a couple rods here. I'll just get them out of the way. Here you got another long storage compartment. I've got my rods in there, and then got a paddle underneath, lights and all that kind of stuff. It's all tucked away in there. One more thing I'll touch on real quick that I actually really like about this boat is you have a gap between the side console and the gunnel, so you can actually, when you're just running and you don't feel like putting your rods away in the locker, you can actually just tuck them right there, which is really nice. I actually love that. Just a small little feature, but comes in real handy, just being able to drop your rod and leave it there. Alright guys, moving on to the console. I'm really happy with it, no complaints, everything's positioned well. These older boats, you know, they didn't have graphs like this back in 2006, so it's kind of huge and obnoxious. There's not a massive spot to mount that, but I just put it on a ram mount back there, and it works out perfectly. This is a 9-inch Garmin. I installed that after, it didn't come with that. Previous owner had a small, like 4-inch Lowrance on there, so I removed that, put my Garmin on there, and yeah, super happy about that. But yeah, really nice short windshield, not too bad, but when it's cold you got enough to duck down. That was something I really wanted, especially having the dual console for bringing either buddies or my girlfriend. At least they're not sitting there in the cold in the early spring, late fall. In those conditions, it sucks being that co-angler, having to freeze your ass off watching the driver just sitting behind the windshield, so that's nice that I have that. So this side console, it's pretty plain. There's no glove box or nothing, but you have some pretty good room up here to put whatever you'd like. Pretty good storage under there considering, so it's okay that it doesn't have a glove box. Yeah, so the console doesn't take up too much room. I'm just happy about the console. Okay, so here's where my biggest complaint lies on this boat, is right here on the rod locker. Not very uncommon in these older boats especially. So the bottom row, as you can see there, the max is 6 foot, which is pretty useless to me because I don't own a single rod that is less than 7 foot really. I only have a couple. So, and then the top here is max 6'5", and it'll actually fit a 7-footer. So this rod here is 6'10", and it still has enough room to close, no problem. So although it says 6'6", you can fit a little bit longer, but that's going to be something I'm going to have to fix. I'm going to extend this piece here. I'm going to cut it and have it come out at least so I can fit 7-footers on the bottom. So I'll just have it come out a little bit here, be a bit of a step, but no big deal. But the only thing that isn't too bad is although this kind of sucks being a really short rod locker, this side rod locker you could easily fit like up to 8 footers. So I'm not too concerned about it. It is what it is, but it just kind of sucks that this thing is kind of useless just because it can't fit those longer rods. So I will be extending that anyway. And then so actually right underneath here is where your 2 trolling motor batteries are. Really like that as well. Keeps the weight forward. So I got my 2 batteries for my trolling motor, obviously, and then I have a smaller 30 amp hour lithium right here, and that powers my live scope. I didn't want my live scope to be draining my main battery on the back, because if I'm fishing for a couple hours and don't start the big motor, that trolling motor will drain the battery. And then I didn't want interference running it off of these 2 trolling motor batteries. I've heard it can, heard it can't. I figured I already had a battery kicking around, I'll just install that. And then I have a 2-bank battery charger in there as well. So yeah, that's all inside of there, tucked away nicely. And then up here we got another live well. It's a much smaller live well, but it's not a bad size for panfish. And then again up front, 2 very large compartments for tackle storage, life jackets. Right now I have life jackets in there, but I'm probably gonna end up moving those and filling it up with tackle. Same thing on this side. I still got to organize this boat properly. I just threw the basics just to get out there on the water. Again, filled with tackle, lots of room. And then there's another compartment right here. And again, I got my micro like panfish stuff in there. I got another life jacket, and this again is a huge compartment. It goes way back underneath this console. It's crazy how much storage this boat has, which is one thing I really love. Here at the front of the boat, I have a 80-pound Fortrex. Not a bad trolling motor. I don't love it, but it's not too bad. It does the job. I'm probably going to upgrade that too. Hopefully it's a Rova. I'd like something that has spot lock on it. And this big pedal here, I'm not a huge fan of that because I can't recess it. I tried pulling up these pieces here to see if I had enough room, and the rod tubes run right up underneath there, and then it's all foam. So I don't have room to drop a recessed tray in. So I'm gonna go with a trolling motor that has a bit more of a slim pedal, so you're not stepping so high all day. And then up front, as you can see here, this is the same graph I had at the console. I have 2 separate mounts. I brought a mount up to the front here, and this is where I have my live scope. That's the setup, and then I got the black box actually installed in this little compartment. Instead of running wires to one of these compartments or somewhere else in the boat, I figured I'd just keep it nice and close. Black box is in there, all the wiring's tucked away. I'm probably gonna get some kind of cargo net type thing to just cover this up, keep everything concealed. But yeah, it works out well. And then here I got your trolling motor plug, and then I got a tilt switch here, which is really nice to have for when you run into shallow water. Right on the fly, you just hit that switch and you don't have to worry about hitting bottom with the big motor. Okay, so at the back of the boat here, I have the GT56 transducer mounted. So I have that wired up to this graph here. So I have side imaging, down imaging, and I have my mapping, and obviously your traditional sonar at the console. Then moving up front with that same graph, I have this wired up to my live scope. So all I gotta do is just snap this graph from this one here. All I do is I'll just sleep it, snap that out, come here, and now I'm good to go. I have my maps here and everything else I'm going to need. It's a super cheap way to have your live scope at the front while also having what you're going to need at the back. If you're looking for a budget way, I highly suggest doing it this way. Eventually I'd love to get another graph to put on the front so I don't have to keep swapping, but for now it works really well. So alright guys, we're back in the truck, got off the water. So yeah, that's the full walkthrough. I'll be honest with you guys, when I purchased that boat, I was not really planning on it. I wanted a bass boat. I wanted a 17 to 18 foot aluminum bass boat. I'm primarily a bass angler, but I can't say that I'm not a multi-species angler. Like, I target bass more than anything else, but I also target walleye, muskie, pike, panfish, like everything in between. If there's a fish that swims in Ontario waters, I pretty much target it. So I figured a boat like that would be much better fit for me. I do live near some pretty big bodies of water that deep V is really going to come in handy on some squirrely days where you get into some rough water. So for that reason, I wanted that boat. The only problem, like why I was shying away from getting into a deep V hull, was just the lack of space. A lot of those boats, they I don't know why, but they don't capitalize on storage. They don't capitalize on how big your front deck is. Most of them have a huge cockpit with a very small casting platform up front. That's just, hey, I mean, for some people, if you're a big trolling guy or, you know, vertical jigging off the side, like, you know, for lake trout, things like that, like, of course, that's a great boat. But for the style of fishing that I do, I really want to have that big front casting deck. And this boat obviously has that. As soon as I took this boat for a test drive, I knew right away that this is a much better fit than getting into a bass boat. So yeah, for those reasons I just mentioned, I love the boat. You still get that really nice cockpit. I got lots of room for bags when we bring the dog along, tons of room for him. So in that matter, I prefer it over a bass boat. Like I said, the only one complaint I have is the really small rod locker, but then having the side locker obviously makes up for that. So I can still fit my rods, 7/6s, even some of my like big musky rods, I'm going to try to fit them into there. If they don't fit, those musky rods that are, you know, 9.5 foot, you can still run them beside the console and they're tucked away. You know, you have that option, which is really nice. So yeah, I'm super happy with the boat. Obviously I got to get some more time behind the wheel, but yeah, I'm really happy with it so far. I appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, if you could like and subscribe, really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.